So first of all, anyone who clicked on this video, what I find physically attractive, I'm not going to share that, so hate to disappoint, but this is not that kind of video. But if you'll stick with me and I get into my usual talking chair, I'll share with you some of the traits that I find incredibly sexy in older people, men and women, as we age into our 60s and 70s and 80s. Because let's face it, our beauty's going to fade, case in point. So any of you who clicked on this video to find out what I find sexy, this is not that video. And my apologies up front for not trying to throw curveballs here, but I've been driving lots of strangers, and there's a certain profile that I find very sexy, and it's not what you think it is, and that's what I put the thumbnail up. It's not about physical attraction. It's not about, I think we've all had that experience that someone we deem who's got all those attributes of physicality, of dynamism, self-confidence, which is beautiful, physical gifting, whatever it may be. And then they open their mouths, and the self-centeredness, the lack of awareness, empathy, kindness, and then sexiness for me just evaporates. It's just poof. And so in this video, shown here, Gift from Lift, this is my channel, and I'm trying to broaden it to talk about other things. This was a great, it was about kind of gig riding, curing my burnout and breaking my social isolation. But I really just use it as a platform to talk about all the people and how I've been able to break not only my own social isolation, but to create a community of people that I needed to build. And, for me, the gig driving is secondary. So some of my favorite rides are with, mostly they are women in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s. Just because the fact there's more of them, they typically outlive us men. And there are some men that I've met that also have these qualities. So it's not just about, women, but the fact is women live longer and are, in my opinion, thriving in ways that help them live a more connected through their ability to continually to foster relationships. So long-winded way of saying they're just better at connecting, I think, and that they show the skills that I really admire. And it's really that there's three things that I really look for. One is, a continued lack of self-centeredness and empathy towards others, and a curiosity. So I'll bundle those together. Kind of a curious, hey, what are you up to? How did you start this? What are you doing? Do you have a family? Questioning about what someone else's, what they're up to. And I find that incredibly powerful. And a genuine sincerity by remembering names or remembering the details as they go along. I've had repeat riders who will ask me about, details that I've shared, which really means they paid attention and they've digested it, and they really are, willing to or have the ability to engage on that level. That's really powerful. The second thing I would say is, a real genuine sense of self-awareness in a way that, what they're not good at, or they're sharing in their history of what they might not have done well, and try to either correct or try to find a way to work around. For me personally, I don't have a lot of patience. I'm continually getting stressed out by certain things when they don't move fast enough, whether it's some car in front of me or just someone who's not, who if I'm, in a hurry, I don't take the time. I lack the empathy in that moment to, because I need to get somewhere. I need to do something, whatever that may be. That's for me. So the point is that my riders, older folks, have shared with me their struggles or their ability to really get real with, what they've been able to transcend or not, and just be okay with that. I find that very powerful. And, the third thing that I think is really, really amazing is the ability to be kind and really genuinely show compassion despite having been hurt or been wronged in a way. And that's another thing I'm not very good at. I'm getting better at, hopefully. But I find those qualities really powerful. And a couple of women I've had recently, one was an woman who immigrated to this country as a young girl, and built a family here and had to work really hard jobs and struggled. And she was probably my age, in her early 60s, and her daughter was grown, and she was very, very powerful in the way that she described her life and how she had reached a stage where she was genuinely very happy, but she struggled, and she said it was very hard. And what she told me, the details she shared with me, were really, really moving. And I thought, oh my God, this woman is just amazingly strong, gifted, powerful, not speaking the language. I just felt this sense of, overwhelmed with, wow, holy, I couldn't do that. How did you do that? And she didn't build a company. She's not famous. She just built a successful life coming from nothing, which to me, that's everything. To be able to do that, and with a very low starting point, nothing gifted to her in a sense of, an education, a home, a place to start that really allowed her to climb a ladder. She really, really was starting from almost nothing and having to go through. And she exemplified all those qualities, and she wasn't bitter. That's another thing that I find incredibly attractive about people, is that they don't carry the bitterness. And we've all been wronged or will be wronged, and there's lots of reasons to carry, our wounds with us. Perhaps they've healed, perhaps they haven't. And this woman, I know, had some struggles, and she was just incredibly joyful, and that was really sexy. And I wish, I wish that writer would show up again. Maybe on my radar at some point she will. But those are some of the things that I find very endearing in people, and men have those traits as well. I mean, hopefully I'm learning some of them, but there's some men out there that have done some amazing things who are widowers, and who have come through the eye of the needle as well, and it demonstrate those qualities as well. So it's not just, I'm talking about women here, despite my thumbnail indication otherwise, but guilty as charged. If you've managed to stick with me this far, it would be great to hear from you as a community. I'm hoping to expand it to people who are, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, people who are still vibrant and are looking for connection. And hopefully you found a little bit through this video of ways to, maybe through my journey and trying to articulate it and showcase what has been really powerful for me. Somehow you have identified with that, and it would be great to hear from you. So I post another video up here that I think hopefully I'll choose one that has a little bit of community-esque resonance. I was tooling around with AI just in terms of getting some perspective on this whole, creating a niche here. But anyway, Sean Giff from Lyft. See you in the next one.